Well, I guess the most fundamental thing is this kind of notion of identity convergence. We've seen that in the market, particularly in financial services, over the last 4 or 5 years, but it's really, really accelerated over the last 2, I would say. And the notion of identity convergence is the idea that financial service providers can no longer use a patchwork of home-built and legacy infrastructure and solutions. They're actually looking to converge that, and they're looking for a platform solution that can enable their customer experiences, workforce experiences, and even in many cases, machine identities as well. So effectively, identities are the core of that, and that convergence is really important because it enables financial service providers to be more agile, to deliver those experiences at lower cost, and very importantly as well, ensure that they're in the best position to mitigate the cybersecurity threats that we're seeing emerge every day. You know, at the root of this is really about using identity to build what we call a single view of customer needs. An idea is that every time we as consumers touch any kind of digital system, or even a hybrid system if we're visiting a branch and we have a mixed physical and digital interaction, every time we do that, we create a crumb. And if you think about associating that crumb, identity attribute, in a given channel with a data set, that enables financial service providers to really build a holistic picture of customer needs, to understand what they need, at which channel, and at which point in time. So that kind of connected view of identity and of consumer needs is really, really important. And again, going back to the previous point around convergence, you know, historically, those providers have had a patchwork of identity solutions in-house. So connecting that in real time is very difficult. And that, again, is another reason why moving to a converged identity mantra is really critical to being able to do that. And as we know in financial services, those providers that deliver the best experiences, the most hyper-personalized experiences, and the most relevant offerings are those that are able to convert, retain, and actually build trust with their customers. So that's really, really fundamental. So I see that identity really sits at the bottom of all that. It's interesting, when you ask the average person on the street, what is identity, they'll think of one use case, authentication, logging into a system, a mobile app, whatever it might be, right? And that's the most common use case. But actually, if you start looking underneath the hood, there are all kinds of things that need to happen in order for customers, workforce, and even machine identities to have those experiences that are really, really credible and important, and also for providers to mitigate the emerging threat vectors that we know are really already on the rise with, you know, increase in synthetic identity use, you know, and increasing usage of impersonation. So really when you look underneath that, you start looking into the world of adaptive access, you start looking at things like authorization. So authorization is really, once you've logged into a system, what assets or what data or what attributes are you entitled to view as a customer, as a worker? So that's one thing. And then if we look a bit further out, we see exciting developments in a decentralized identity space. So the use of verified credentials, digital wallets, identity verification are all becoming more important. And all these episodes and events are now happening in real time. So again, identity connects those things together to make sure that we, as providers, have a better level of assurance about the identity of the individual we're interacting with, but also likewise, given APV fraud and the significant changes in that space, that consumers also have the assurance that they're dealing with legitimate providers of services. So again, I would say that identity is really at the core of that, and bringing those things together is really where we see the market going in the future, certainly in this industry.